Welcome back, fellow travelers. I'm your host, Kyle McCullers, and this is the Road to Freedom podcast. I'm, of course, very excited to be here today with you, and the topic tonight is going to probably be about roadblocks. I had probably a more controversial topic that I wanted to talk about, but I think I'm going to tuck that into my back pocket. Not going to go down that road today, but I think what inspired this episode was something that I saw on social media when I was taking my sons to get their haircut, and I showed it to one of the barbers there, and a little bit, and it's from a guy. I wouldn't call him disgraced, but there was definitely a stigma on him for a while, and I think he definitely weathered that storm. I would say gracefully over the years, and it's a guy by the name of Damon Dash. Damon Dash used to be really close to Jay-Z. They grew up in the same. I don't know if they grew up in the same. I won't say that. They didn't grow up the same. I know Dame's from Harlem and Jay-Z's from Brooklyn. I don't really remember the source of where they connected, but they ended up connecting, and of course they built Rockefeller Records, which is, of course, legendary. They had a falling out in which there was a huge, public falling out, and Dame Dash went his way, Jay-Z went his way, and Dame Dash is respected a lot, especially in the hip-hop culture, New York. He is a very successful entrepreneur, and Damon Dash was known for being abrasive, candid, straightforward, holding no punches, not apologizing, saying exactly how he feels and what he thinks about you, which, doesn't really go over. And, I mean, I guess you could kind of say he doesn't really have a filter. The great thing, I think, about Damon Dash is he is a man without roadblocks. Mentally, spiritually, meaning that he's not going to allow anyone to hold his spirit, hold his heart, hold his mind down, right? For no reason. And the reason he doesn't allow that is because he doesn't do it to himself. So his principle is, if I'm not going to do it to myself, I'm not going to allow anyone else to do it to me. Right? And then what he does is he's able to ask why you choose to do it to yourself. So there's a clip that I want to play, but I'll play it a little bit later. But I wanted to really talk about and think on what's blocking you. What's blocking you? What's stopping you? What's preventing you? What obstacle is in your way? What adversity are you having to overcome in order to get to where you want to be? Because it's our mind, right? It's our belief system. It's our mind. It's our self-thought. It's our self-talk that tells us what we can and cannot do, right? I just listened to Elon Musk. I think roughly about 6 or 7 hours ago, gave maybe 8 hours ago, gave a TED talk about him purchasing Twitter. And it was a very good interview. They talked about a lot of different things. And one of the things he talked about was Tesla and how Elon actually opened up. And I thought this was very, vulnerable and very eye-opening for myself. Now, when we think of Elon Musk, we think of, ultimate entrepreneur. Successful, like the epitome of successful, right? I mean, he's trying to buy Twitter for $40 billion, and like he said on stage, he has the assets, he has the liquid cash to buy out everyone if he wanted to, right? But during that interview, he was questioned about things that were happening in the beginning, and Elon said Tesla was that company was shorted on their stock. They went through the hardest short of their stock in stock market history, is basically what he was saying. People did not want him to succeed to the level that they were trying everything they could, right, to get him to fail. From the SEC to shorting his stock, he opened up and said in the worst years, he said they were hell. Worst years of his life were 2017, 2018, and 2019, where he was in the factory in Nevada and I think a factory in San Bernardino or someplace in California, and he was sleeping on the floor. He slept there. He stayed there in those factories for 3 years. He claims to be the guy who knows more about manufacturing than any other person on the earth. He said out of his own mouth, he was going from station to station like a madman for 3 years, trying to figure out how to make it work. And he said the way you succeed in an automobile business, it is you don't go bankrupt, but you don't go bankrupt by getting enough, I think he said gross materials or gross, not components, but products, right? Being able to do it on a volume scale before you go bankrupt and able to basically feed the beast, right? And that's why most companies fail. And I think he said from the beginning, I can't remember if it was over like the previous years from when Tesla started, but he said something about over 100 companies tried to start and failed, right? Automobiles. Because like you said, you got to be able to, scale up enough to where your product is being consumed to where you're not going bankrupt, right? And 17, 18, and 19 were self-describing his hell. I don't want to say roadblock, but his journey, right? His journey to freedom, his road to freedom. And he talked more about, his co-founders and things like that. But I was just thinking to myself, being an entrepreneur, right, is so glamorized. It's almost as if it's kind of become almost like this Hollywood title, and I don't get it. I don't. I mean, I get that you have a sense of freedom because you're not, working a desk job or, but, to have that freedom, you exchange freedom for security. Right? We shouldn't liken. I said it in the last broadcast. I think it's silly for us to ostracize being comfortable, right? You should strive to be comfortable and content with what you have, right? And comfort is a derivative of security. So if you're secure, you're comfortable, right? If you have a job and a salary that pays you on time every time for trading your skill set and your time, that's a security which gives you a form of comfort, right? Entrepreneurs don't have that. Now, when you're uncomfortable and you're insecure, you also have a threat to morality. What do I mean by that? Well, those who are hurting or those who are in fear or those who can't or are insecure and they're responsible for other people, it puts them in a position to be morally negligent, right? You're going to do things that you normally typically probably wouldn't do or think because you feel threatened and you're afraid. So just being in that position alone, like, why would anybody want that? Why would you choose that? I think it's silly, right? It's great to have a job. If people didn't have jobs and go to work every day, society wouldn't work. I think it's ridiculous for everyone that wants to be an entrepreneur when you really haven't thought about it all the way through, because I'll tell you the truth, it's terrifying and it sucks. It does. It's not easy. It doesn't get easier, right? If any, in listening to Elon, it's true. I mean, okay, he didn't have to sit at a desk, and okay, he didn't really have a boss that told him, you know, I need this, this, and this. But he's sleeping in his factory, one step away from being bankrupt and ruined, his whole dream taken away, and he has to go from station to station, fly this way and that, work 16, 18 hours a day, every day, every day, every day, every day. You know, 99% of you can't work every day. You're not working 16 to 18 hours a day. You're not sleeping on concrete floors. You're not doing it. Not for 3 years straight. You're not. I'm not. I couldn't even if I wanted to. I got kids. I got a wife. I can't do that. So what's that mean? It means there's levels. That's why he is where he is. You know, and that's why I love capitalism. As an idea, right? Free markets. You're rewarded for what you do for other people. Right? Steve Jobs doesn't become Steve Jobs because the government made him Steve Jobs. No. Steve Jobs became Steve Jobs because he created a product that everyone wants to consume. And no matter what the price, because the price keeps going up, everyone keeps consuming it. And everyone loves Apple products, right? Loves Apple products. I have an iPhone. That's what it does. It creates people like Elon and Steve to become engineers of ingenuity. And it pushes other people to be competitive and to try to figure out the next thing. That's the incentive. Because the incentive is creating something for people that people want to consume and therefore make you money. That's how it works. So I thought about roadblocks. You know, what was Elon's roadblock? Elon had a lot of detractors, enemies, haters, did not want him to succeed. Not even on just a company level, but on a what do you call that? What would you call that? On a whole basis, on a whole. I mean, he's bringing in electric cars. It's antithetical to industries, oil and gas industry, the automotive industry. I mean, on a societal level, it was going to change the status quo. And those who want the status quo to be maintained are threatened. Therefore, he has to go down, right? So, of course, he had a lot of enemies. And, you know, a guy who's socially awkward, you know, overcomes so many things. His story is incredible and it's great. He's had a lot of roadblocks. And yet, he overcame them. How? I think a lot of us grew up without one parent or the other. Sometimes both. I think a lot of us grew up without hearing "I love you," without constant attention, or even, regular healthy attention from your parents. I think a lot of us grew up without guidance, without true guidance. What do I mean by that? By your parents really dictating what you should and shouldn't do and standing by that, right? And I think a lot of us are lost. And you just wander and you just fall into something. You go to college, you graduate with whatever, and you don't even use it. But now you're in debt, right? It strangles you. You can't buy a house. We have a lot of roadblocks, I think, that aren't our fault, but we need to address them and we need to deal with them. And if we don't, that is our fault. And there's a lot of roadblocks that we put up in our own self, that we do to our own self, right? I know I do. I struggle with that. It's shameful. It's hard. And I want to be better about overcoming that and not allowing my self-talk to defeat myself before I've even attempted something, or celebrating when I do overcome something and allowing myself to feel that win, right? To feel that emotion. That's something that I think we really need to do for ourselves. It's the same concept of visualization, right? The whole success board or vision board, right? To be able to see what it is you're trying to attain. These mental blocks, it doesn't matter who you are, and it doesn't matter what you've done. Because even though you've accomplished so much in this field, like I saw a clip where T.I. is doing comedy now. I didn't know that, but I saw a clip and he was getting completely booed. I mean, bad, embarrassing. He was successful over here, and now he wants to do something else here. And there's two things that happen. One is people say, how come you're doing this? You're not a comedian. You can't do this. It's the same thing that happened when he wanted to be a rapper getting out of the street. You're a street dude. You can't rap. You're not a rapper. Right? It's the same thing that happens to you when you tell your friends you want to do something. I want to succeed in this. I want to do this. And they say, no, you can't do that. You're this. Then the other side is you've never done it before. So naturally, you're not going to be very good at it starting out. You may have talent. It may be something you are good at. I don't know. But you're not going to be that good. And you're not going to be received well. Especially if you already are famous or you've already done something and become good at it, and now you're trying to transfer to it's the same thing with actors, right? A lot of actors are musicians. They're artistic people. They can do all kinds of things. Jeremy Piven kills the drums. Kevin Bacon, and even who did I see? Dennis Quaid, great guitar player. He sings. He has a band. There's a lot of people like that do multiple things because they're expressive people. They're artistic people. They need to do those things, right? I write. I finished my book. I can't wait for it to get edited and I can start publishing it. And, it all comes out of us somehow, some way. But we can't allow those roadblocks on the outside to penetrate on the inside and we start telling ourselves that. Because not only is that a recipe for ultimate failure, and when I mean by ultimate failure, I mean by quitting, right? You can fail, but you don't become a failure until you quit. So ultimate failure is when you quit, and it's because you've allowed those thoughts to take over and you've given into them, right? So we don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. So I'm going to play this clip, and I'm going to play it through, and I'm going to stop through and have conversations with what he's saying, because I think it's very, I think it's good. I think it's very informative, and you're going to understand what I mean by this. So this is Dame Dash, and he's talking, I think, to Steven Jackson, and it's on the All the Smoke or Up in Smoke, I can't remember what it's called, podcast. And I need to record this. Start recording. Boom. All right. Hold on. I got to get my headphones. All right.
So let me ask you a question, both of y'all. What's your dream?
I'm living it.
But what is it, though?
To be successful.
That's an emotion.
How explain
Specifically.
That to me.
So my dream is to have my own television network, my own football teams, my own sports teams, to have.
Now, Dame Dash asked him, what's your dream? Right? He says, what's your dream? He says, to be successful. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at you. But, duh, everybody's dream is to be successful, right? So he's asking him a very specific question, and he gave him a very vague answer. And he did it because I don't really think he's really thought about it, right? And he says, yeah, okay, yeah, but what does that mean, right? And so he asks him, well, what's your dream? And Dame Dash starts listing off his things. Now, I want you to pay attention to what Steven says, okay?
Family, to live a certain way, to have properties all over the world.
So you can say dreams change. Your dreams change.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
I mean, when your dreams, the death of a dream is the best funeral. That means it became a reality.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably one of the best lines. The death of a dream is one of the best feelings, one of the best things. Why? Because that's when it becomes a reality. And then now it's time to get a new one. I've never heard of that. I've never heard that said that way. So I really love that concept. The death of a dream is the best feeling because that's when it becomes a reality, right? Awesome line.
And then it's time to have another one. So you've made your dreams come true, but what's your dreams right now?
My dreams right now is to be an actor. That's my dream.
You're dreaming to be an actor?
Yep.
You can be an actor. You got to dream bigger.
All right. So Steven Jackson, matter of fact, I don't want to stick. I don't want to. Yeah, I gotta go. Steven Jackson, NBA, because, okay, so, 14 seasons. Okay, 14 seasons. He played 14 seasons. Okay. Now, NBA, 14 seasons. He's already successful, all right, in this one area. And Dame's saying, listen, you did this. Cool. Good job. But that dream died because it became a reality. What's your dream now? I want to be an actor. And Dame's Dash is, you want to be an actor, you could do that right now. What's stopping you?
Give me a bigger dream. You're a professional.
I did not be making up something that I'm not in that space.
I want you to dream. I'm going to ask you this question when you come on to my studio.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have to dream big enough so that you're not the only one that's affected.
You have to dream big enough so that you're not the only one that's affected. You have to dream big enough so that you're not the only one affected.
You have to be selfish about it, though. You can't help nobody unless you can help yourself.
A lot of people need to know that. And I'm sorry, he's just dropping so many good things. You got to be selfish with your dreams because you can't help other people until you help yourself. You can't put anybody in position. You can't bring anybody out. You can't assist anybody. You can't send nobody to school. You can't really do anything of value besides maybe give some advice if you have not succeeded, if you haven't gotten to that position of power. So you got to be selfish with yourself to get to where you're in position so that you can take care of other people. Okay. Otherwise, y'all can't all go there. It doesn't work that way. It never has, never will.
And the people that you want to help are the people you love, your family.
See, that's what I'm saying. But what if you're in a position where, like I'm saying, when you ask me that question, I'm looking at like, well, shit, I'm living my dream because I've done what I set out to do to change lives.
You did it already. It's dead.
Right.
That dream's over.
Right.
Next dream.
Right.
It died already.
Because you've accomplished it.
Right.
It's an angel. It's in the wind. You don't want to be the guy talking about, like, some people's dream in high school was to, like, win the chip. And
they
never
still talk about that
anything.
shit to the day. Yeah. To this day. Every day come. Well, I remember 95.
So, my approach on this dream would be, number one, to be the best actor in the world, not just to be an actor.
Right? He says, my approach on your dream. Now, I mean, he said a lot of good things right there. I'm not going to hit on everything he says, but my approach on your dream specifically about being an actor is I would want to be the best actor, right? So if Damon Dash was here, he'd probably say, okay, you want to be the most influential man in your city. Great. Well, why not the state? Why not the country? Right? And then he would say, you want to be the number one minority real estate investor in the state of Florida. Okay, why not the number one real estate investor in the state of Florida? Why not the number one real estate investor in the country? Right? I already know. I already know what he would say. And I'm already, I got to deal with my own roadblocks, right? But this is a perfect example, and he's going to start to get there to where and how he operates in his mindset, and how I hope you see it and you take it from where I learned from it, okay?
But you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cameras right there. You have sound and a location. What's stopping you from acting? Somebody employing you?
Nope.
So then what's stopping you from making that dream come true today? I'm just asking.
You've got 6 cameras, sound, a location. What's stopping you from becoming an actor right now, today? Somebody employing you? No? Okay. I don't understand the roadblock. But Steven has the roadblock. How? Because of what he's telling himself. Dame's like, you got everything you need to do what you want to do. So why aren't you doing it? Listen to Steven Jackson, and maybe this is something you would say.
I just know.
I just wanted to answer that question.
What question? What's stopping me?
If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cameras,
right,
and mics,
right,
and a location, what's stopping you from acting?
I know it's more than just me acting to it.
I know there's more than just me acting to it. Decipher. I'm making it more complicated than it should be. I'm worrying about all the other stuff that I need to have before I can start. It's analysis paralysis. I got my first deal in real estate because I just did it. I just called. And I talked. And I sent a letter. I planted a seed. And 6 months later, it came back to me. I didn't get a deal between that call and the 6 months later she called me back. I just grinded and planted. Right? Action. But Steven's response is what I've done and what you do, what your friend does. Right? I just know there's more to it than that. Listen to this.
Right. There's 6 cameras.
Writers, there's all kind of stuff.
You don't need writers to act. Mostly everything I've ever done, I don't even fucking have a script.
No. You don't need writers to act. Now, mind you, Damon Dash did Paid in Full, and he did the state properties. Okay?
I didn't even do Honor Up with a script. So you're making reasons not to do it.
You're making reasons not to do it. Bar. That's your roadblock. That's it right there. That's mine right there. You're making reasons not to do what you want to do. That's how I encourage other people, by the way. All right? I try to do it for myself. That's why I'm able to even have the small amount of success I've had, right? Is because I find success whenever I'm able to overcome that, right? And I have a natural roadblock that I have to push myself, right? And I do the same thing with my wife. My wife will say something to me, and I'll why don't you do it? Right? Because sometimes what happens is we voice what we want, or we voice what we want to do, and we need someone to push us. We need someone to tell us you could do it. Or we voice it to get it out so that people will tell us not to do it because we're afraid to. So it's a self-fulfilling defeatist prophecy that allows us to cop out because someone's telling us it's not a good idea, and we just want an escape route, right? But that's the roadblock. We make excuses to fail. We make excuses not even to try, which to me is a failure. And since you're making it an excuse not to try, it's an ultimate failure, because even though you technically didn't quit because you didn't even try, I lump it in the same category.
So again, what's stopping you?
I don't know.
Nothing's stopping you.
Really, well, I mean,
There's nothing stopping you.
I don't know. Yes, you do. What's stopping you is you're telling yourself, I can't do it. I can't do it because I don't got a writer. I can't do it because I don't have a director. I can't do it because I don't have a producer. I can't do it because I don't know how to do it. Two things are not allowed in my house. You're not allowed to say I can't, and you don't hang your head in my house. If I see my sons hanging their head, I always tell them chin up. I'll pop their chin up. Because we don't walk around in defeat. Chest up, chin up. Never I can't. I can't. I'll figure it out. I don't know is code for I can't. Watch this.
Said I don't know, that means there's nothing. So do it.
I'm just saying that but it's not that simple.
See? He's Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is the stuff I love. This is the stuff I love. Because you're watching a 14-year veteran in the NBA get re-schooled in the mindset that he had to get to the NBA. Shut up. There's nothing stopping you. Dame Dash is trying to program. He's trying to reprogram. There's nothing stopping you. But no, there's nothing stopping you. No. You just said I don't know, which means there's nothing. There's nothing stopping you. See, every time Steven talks, he's trying to give an excuse why he's not even trying. And Dame Dash is saying, no, you don't have an excuse. That's what you should be saying. Dame Dash is saying it so that Steven will say it back to him, basically, right? He's saying, you don't have an excuse. Stop making an excuse. You don't have an excuse. And this is where Steven starts getting it. Watch.
I'm just saying that, but it's not that simple.
See? You're saying that. You're saying do it, but it's not that simple. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm going to use my wife as an example. She's sitting behind the camera. I love her. She's artistic. She's one of the best artists I know. And I've met a lot of artists. She doesn't think she's that good, which is complete BS. She wanted to be a photographer. I encouraged her and pushed her and pushed her and pushed her and pushed her. I set up the business. I did everything I could to push her. And yet she still didn't want to do it. Because she had a roadblock. And then one day, she did it. Even with the roadblock. And she overcame it. And then it was a waterfall. I think, how many times did you go within the first year, Jess? How many times did you fly out? 6? Over 6? 6? She flew out over 6 times. Yeah. Jess McCullough's photography. Instagram. Okay? And now she charges $300 an hour because she can. She can charge more, really, the work that she does, because it's phenomenal. And a lot of people don't know that photography now, you have to have a good eye, for sure. But most of it is in the editing. It's in the filters. It's in the artistic expression of how the pictures get rendered. Right? And that's a signature. So she has her own style, and people will pay a premium for that style. But the point is even when you're good at something, because it's you and that's what you do, you don't understand or know how good you are. And even when someone is telling you it's good, it's not that you don't think that you're not good. It's that you have a roadblock believing it. And it stems from your childhood. You were never told as a child what you did was good. Your mother didn't tell you. Your father didn't tell you. They might even told you the opposite. That you're not good. That you didn't do good. That you can't do good. That you didn't do good enough. So when you grow older, you could be one of the most talented people, but you don't believe in you, and you don't believe other people that do believe in you, or you have difficulty with that because you didn't grow up believing it. You didn't grow up with the belief. I didn't grow up with anybody telling me that I could do anything I wanted to do. It's a struggle of mine. But I mentally told myself I could. I said, well, if I don't have anyone telling me, I got to tell myself. Otherwise, I'm never going to get to where I want to be. But that doesn't mean that I don't struggle with it. I do. And then I always think about, what if I did grow up in that environment? What would it do? And I'm contrasting this with this man here because this man, he overcame those roadblocks to get into the NBA and to be successful for almost 20 years. And he wants to do something he's never done before. And it's like for the first time, he doesn't even see that mental roadblock that he's telling himself that he can't do something, where he defeated that when he was a young kid to get to where he was in the NBA. And it's Dame Dash, of all people, sitting on a couch, looking him in his face saying, you have no excuse. There's nothing stopping you. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Let me show you how simple it is. Watch. This is so good.
You want me to show you how simple it is? Watch.
This is good.
I need you to have an argument with him, but don't mean it, about a girl. Action.
Why the fuck you didn't tell me you called her? She told me you called her. You told me you was cool, you weren't gonna fuck with her. I told you I like her. I told you I was taking her out. And you still called her? I thought we was better than that.
She do that little thing to me,
Well, you should have told me that, bro. I told you not to call her. I told you I was gonna really try to be with her. And you still called her. Like what? That's the type of nigga you is?
Cut. We had our first scene on the Smoke TV show.
That was fun.
So what was hard about that? Pause. Now your dream just came true. Next dream. You just acted. That's simple.
That's the low level of acting.
Listen. I love the art of drama. Okay, I personally, now I'm exposing myself. I personally would love to be a movie critic, right? So I know now y'all, everyone's saying, well, why aren't you a movie critic? Or why? Yeah, I don't want to hear that. Okay. I just wrote the book. I'm gonna work on that. I even thought about doing a podcast on stuff like that. Because what I would love to do, and what I think I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna start maybe another podcast or like another show where I'm gonna start interviewing actors. And I would love to do that. I would love to do interviewing actors and they got new movies. But I digress. Anyways, he just did what's called impromptu. No script, nothing. Director gives you a scenario and action. And you make it up. And you could do this over and over and over and over. You could do 20 takes, and then you find the right one, and that's the one that would go into the movie. But he's never acted before. And if you would have shot that scene, it would have been a great scene. And what I love about this is he says action. You're going to argue about a girl. It's not real, but you're going to argue about a girl, and between the two of you, okay? Action. They do a scene. He says cut. He says new dream. Your dream just died. It became reality. You're an actor. New dream. Now think about this. 60 seconds before this, Steven says what? It's not that simple. Quote. Oh, it's not? Let me show you how simple it is. gets up, gives him a scenario, says action. He does it. Cut. It's that simple. That simple. Look at it. Woo! Now here we get to the good thing. This is a good thing, but this is the deep thing. This is the deep thing. That comment right there. That simple. Now, when Dame says that simple and it cuts to Steven and he's just looking, at first I thought it was Steven contemplating like, dang, it really was that simple. Wow. Why was I doing that to myself? But nope. Let's rewind it. What did he say? He says what? That's a low level of acting. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why are we so negative? All the time. Why are we so defeatist? I am an idea guy. Okay? I truly believe you can't have any kind of artistic expression. You can't learn anything if you are not, number one, absolutely hungry for the truth. And behind that is a natural affinity or curiosity. And that's where the ideas come from, right? I like to do different things and try different things because I don't know what could work. It's one of the things, people compliment me about my cooking. I never make the same thing on a consistent way. And it's funny because I could if I wrote things down, but I don't. Because I like to try things different all the time. I want to see if I can improve it or make it better or make it different. Because who likes to eat a cheeseburger, the same freaking cheeseburger every single day? Who does that, right? Every single time? That's boring to me, right? Or make the same kinds of tacos or the same kinds, whatever. But the beautiful thing about cooking is you can take simple ingredients and you can make it different a million times. It can never be the same. But you have to be curious. One of the first dates, my wife, when I was dating her, she came to my apartment and I made chicken. And I decided to make cinnamon chicken. It was terrible. I don't even know what inspired me to use cinnamon, but I used too much. You don't just need a little bit. I used way too much. It was awful, but it was a funny date, and it's something that we still remember to this day. And it's the failures. Sometimes it's the failures that turn into stories, that turn into things that are funny and good, right? But you don't have those if you're not curious, if you're not trying to push something. What I'm trying to say is I can't stand people that are negative and who shoot down ideas. Right? Do you remember brainstorming? Do you still brainstorm? Do they call it brainstorming still? Where you just think of stuff and you write it down. And it doesn't matter what it is, right? Whatever the topic is, whatever the problem is, you're brainstorming, and the whole thing or the whole point is to let your mind run free. There is no inhibitions or there's no barriers to your inhibition. You're just writing it all down. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be the craziest stuff, but the point is it's allowing your mind to just give you ideas and bring you ideas. And it's unfurling the sails, right, in your mind. It's just letting it all go. It's letting it come out. And if you're constantly putting up barriers and reasons why and all these things in your mind, you're killing your creativity. You're killing your brainstorm. And you can't get the ideas. And if you have someone negative who's saying that's a crappy idea or that's not good or whatever, there's a difference between implementing a stupid idea and brainstorming. You brainstorm to throw out ideas because that idea might suck, but you're letting your mind go, and then you can play off of other ideas that people are bringing up, and you can combine ideas. You can do all of these things. But if you have some negative Nancy in the room shooting down all the ideas, just killing the brainstorm, then you can't even get a good idea to implement, right? Now, if you get a crappy idea and you implement, it doesn't work, cool, throw it out, get another one. But the negativity is what kills it. And this comment is a toxic mindset. And I hate the word toxic because I think it's overused and it's used in a stupid way. But this is true. You just did something you just said 2 minutes ago was not that simple and you couldn't do. And you didn't know why. You did it. And then after you did it, and he proves to you it's that easy, you say, well, it's crappy. That was crappy. I was garbage. I sucked. Essentially, that's what he said, right? That's a low-level acting. That's a crappy acting. It's horrible. Not only do we put roadblocks on ourselves, we poison the well. Let me ask you a question. If you don't believe in you, why should anybody else? Because they gave you birth? Because you share blood? Because they're dating you? Because they're married to you? Are those reasons why? I mean, honestly, if you don't believe in you, why should I believe in you? Think about that. Damon's going to say something. Damon's going to say something in a second that I believe is probably the most profound thing he's going to say in this segment. But I want to touch on what Steven just said. Dame asked him, that's messed up, what you did to yourself. Why did you do that to yourself? Why did you say that to yourself? And did you hear what Steven Jackson's reply? His reply was? Because I see where I want to be. Pause. Translation. I'm comparing myself to the best actors who have been doing it since they were kids. And that's where I want to be, is I want to be one of the best. Now, mind you, he didn't say in the beginning, I want to be the best actor or one of the best actors. He just said, I want to be an actor. That's what he said, okay? Now, at the end, when he becomes one and Dame chose him, he's switching script and saying, well, I see where I'm at, so I self-defecated on myself, or I self-defecated because I'm comparing myself to where I want to be. Look at it at basketball. You're starting out playing basketball, trying to learn the game. You're not self-defecating yourself because you're not LeBron James. You're just learning. You didn't do that trying to play basketball, but you're doing that now you're giving that excuse as an actor? That doesn't make any sense, number one. Number two, it is my humble opinion that there is no faster way to fail than comparing yourself. Because it will lead to depression. It will lead to ungratefulness. It will lead to self-destruction, morally, physically, spiritually. It will lead to jealousy and envy and covetousness, which will rob you of any kind of thankfulness or happiness that you could ever have. Being in a state of comparing yourselves with other people will leave you in a space of ungratefulness and lack and envy and jealousy and anger, and you will never ever be happy no matter what you do, no matter what you get, because you're always comparing yourself to someone else who is in a different position than you. Let's think about Elon. Let's go back to the Elon thing, right? Entrepreneurs want to compare themselves to Elon, but you're not Elon. You're not as smart as him. You didn't go through the same trials as him. You weren't fighting to keep your company alive from bankruptcy every single day. You didn't sleep on factory floors every day. You didn't work 18 hours a day every day. You didn't have to stare your employees in their face every day, not knowing if you're going to be able to make payroll every day for 3 years straight. Your stock wasn't shorted the most in history. You didn't have the SEC down your throat. You didn't have to make concessions to save your company to the point where you had to appear to be alive. There's so many things. That's why he is who he is and where he is. And you're not him. So I don't care if you're sitting here on the other side of this camera saying, well, I went. No, you didn't. Don't compare yourself to him. We can't keep doing this to ourselves. If you have a roadblock and you destroy it, bask in the light of overcoming your hurdles and your defeats and your roadblocks. Don't do what this man just did and tell yourself you're not good enough or it wasn't good because I'm looking at this person over here. I talked to a friend of mine, shout out to Fab, today, and he said something very enlightening. And he saw me do something for someone. And he says, you know, what you did was such a blessing on this person. And if this person doesn't receive the blessing, that's not on you, because that blessing is going to go to where it needs to go. Translation. Blessings will find the person that it's supposed to go to, and it blesses. That's what it does. And you can reject a blessing, but that doesn't mean that that blessing goes away. It means it goes to someone else. And I thought that that was very insightful and intuitive and enlightening. And I want you to think about that. When you compare yourself to someone else and you self-defecate on yourself, you're doing the opposite of blessing. You're cursing yourself. And the thing about cursing yourself and cursing things is they don't go away from you. They stick on you. How many times have you cursed yourself? I think there's a lot of us that need some healing. They need some prayer. Don't do what this man did. And if you are, stop it. Now I want you to pay particularly close attention to what Dame says next.
You did a good job, though.
That was fucked up that you did that to yourself. Why did you do that?
Because
no.
Because I
Let
see
me
where I
do me
want
a
to be.
favor. Listen, in my perspective, give me the best case scenario of what you just did.
The best case scenario?
Yeah, and only think about that.
That what I just did is in the movie theater?
So why can't it be?
Because it won't be beneficial.
See, I just said your dream fucked up, bro. None of those, that's the last thing you think about is the worst thing, bro. The first thing you think about is the best thing.
Wait, let me back it up, because I want to say he said beneficial, but let me just make sure. Oh, let me hold on. Okay. Dame Dash says, you dream messed up. He didn't say that, but, you know, they curse, and I'm not trying to curse on this. How you think is messed up is what he's saying. He's saying your mindset is wrong. Completely off. Which blows my mind that this man got to where he is, thinking like this. Okay? What's the best case scenario of what you just did? Okay, the best case scenario what I just did would be that it's in the movie theater. Okay. Why can't it be? Okay, notice the question. What's the best case scenario? Best case scenario is this. Okay. Why can't this happen? Answer. It won't be beneficial. What? That's not what he asked you. He didn't ask you if it'll be beneficial or not. He asked you, why can't you make it happen? And then he says, you dream messed up because you jump to why something can't work. Listen, if there's anything that absolutely drives me crazy is when I give ideas and people give me reasons why it won't work. Do you not know that I don't understand why something won't work? I don't need you to give me the reasons why it won't work. I want you to see what I'm seeing. And Dame's going to say the same thing. You don't think about why it won't work. You think about all the things of why it will and what happens when it does. And you operate from that space. No one operates. Listen, if we wanted to do something and all we thought about of why it wouldn't work and how it's going to fail, are we ever going to succeed? No. Is that what you do? Is that what you do? You wake up every morning, you get ready to go to work, and you think about how many times you might die driving in your car? Or how many times you have to pick up the phone to talk to a client and all the things that this client is going to absolutely hate about you, from the sound of your voice to the presentation you're giving to them, to what you're trying to sell them? Do you go and meet your clients for lunch and you're trying to have them as a buyer and you're thinking about all the things that they're going to hate about you and not like about you? So why do you do that with your dreams? And why do you do that to other people's dreams? And why do people do it to me with ideas? Oh my Lord, I can't stand it. I don't need you to tell me why something isn't going to work. I get it. I've ran it over my head. And you know what? Even after I ran it through, I'm pitching the idea out there. Because sometimes, even though it sounds crazy, it just might work. This is good. I'm so happy I saved this clip.
And then, so your visualization just now was it won't be successful. That's what you just visualized. You just fucked your dream up. Now, if you're only visualizing this shit in a movie, you just said it's in a movie, then that's what you should have seen.
Right? So he's talking about visualization, which is huge, okay? I'm not a vision board guy. I tried it. It's not my thing. I am in my head. I'm in my head a lot. I've always been in my head, I've always been in my head. I'm in my head a lot. And I've always said this. You can't get it if you can't see it. And you have to see it. Okay? So he's saying you're not visualizing it in a theater. You're visualizing it. You're not visualizing it. Right? See, man, I'm going too long, but this is the stuff that gets me because this is what this podcast is about. Everyone talks about energy and visualization and all this other woohoo stuff. Manifestation. Listen, there's a modicum of truth in there. But most of it, it's for the birds. Why? Because they're lying. You're walking around here talking about positive vibes, positive energy, and you're a negative person. You're so negative, you're self-defeated, you're a self-defeatist, and you're self-deceived. You wouldn't know what a positive vibe is if it smacked you upside your head. Because you got mommy issues, daddy issues, traumas, things that you have not even addressed, and you don't even go to therapy. You're not in a church. You're not under authority. You're not living your life right. God does not bless sin. Blessings don't come to those who put out negativity. It is a universal law, right? Everyone wants to believe in karma, right? You reap what you sow. And if you sow with the flesh, you reap destruction. It's a universal law. You get what you see. So, if you see nothing, you get nothing. If you see negativity, you get negativity. Right? If you see your vision of whatever it is you're chasing, that's what you're going to get. And it doesn't matter who doesn't believe in you. Because you believe in you. Because you see the vision. And people don't need to see the vision. You just need to see the vision. And that's what he's talking about. Stop thinking about the worst thing and seeing the worst thing, because that's what's going to play out. Think about the best thing and visualize the best thing. And even if you're shooting for the stars and you land on the moon, that's a good place to be rather than still on Earth and never shooting at all.
And then you make it happen. Now, question. How the fuck could that be in the movie? Well, I could just shoot 60 more minutes of scenes. And now I could go rent a theater and show it.
So good. So good. So good. I didn't get the rest of the clip. That's neither here nor there. That don't even matter. All right? That don't even matter. The whole how can it be beneficial? Don't even matter. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. Hopefully, stop. Check. Okay, good. Hopefully, it doesn't even matter. Take off my headset. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. What's the best case scenario? Oh, it's in... This computer is so loud. What's the best case scenario? It's in the theaters. So how can I get into the theaters? Shoot 60 more minutes of those scenes, edit it, make a movie, rent out a theater, play it in the theater. Now your dream of being an actor is manifested. I don't like the word manifest. Your dream of being an actor is now realized, and you got it in a theater. What's the point? The point is that the only boundaries that we have are the ones we put on ourselves. And it starts here. So how do we overcome those? Well, you listen to things like this that will make you get jogged out of that memory. You're jogged out of that mindset. You listen to this podcast and you listen to people like Damon Dash that can tell you to your face without any qualms. Stop doing it to yourself. There's no excuse. There's nothing stopping you. The only one stopping you is you. And it's unbelief. That's something you got to pray about. Well, this one ran a little long. Really excited about this one because I think it's going to help a lot of people. I think it's definitely helping me a lot. It really kind of hit home for me. I was very excited to talk about this. Please make sure that you go to the social media, Facebook, Instagram, follow me at Kyle Makes Deals. Subscribe to the channel, please. Like the videos because they help with the algorithms. Listen, doing my best to try to give you the content, to bring my thoughts. Hopefully this helps and inspires you. If it does, please share it with your friends, with your family members. Get them to subscribe and like the show. It really helps us out. You can send me a message on topics you think that I should talk about. I get a lot of good feedback from people, so it's always good to hear from you. I appreciate this. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you got something that you can take with you in this next week and propel you forward on this road that we're traveling on financial freedom. I'm going to have a guest this month. We're going to talk about crypto, so be on the lookout for that. I appreciate it. Have a good night.